Hello, my name's Julie Williams and I'm a registered migration agent with Migration Down Under, and I'm going to be talking to you about the Subclass 461 New Zealand Citizenship Relationship Visa. It's a mouthful, isn't it? And I probably haven't got it quite in the right order, but it's visa for partners and children of New Zealand citizens here living in Australia. Perhaps you're a New Zealand citizen that hasn't got permanent residency, and you are arriving firstly in Australia, or you're already here in Australia and you meet a partner who is not a New Zealand citizen and not an Australian permanent resident or citizen, and you'd like to remain together because you're in a de facto relationship or you're in a married relationship with them. The answer is the Subclass 461. The Subclass 461 is a 5-year temporary visa, and it can continue to be renewed even if the relationship's broken down and the applicant hasn't actually entered into another de facto or marital relationship with another person. They can actually renew their 461 visa for another 5 years. Now, the 461 visa, it's a 5-year visa, gives you full work rights, multiple re-entry in and out of Australia, and the ability to live with your generally New Zealand partner. That's what we find is most common, the 461 used for. However, it can be there for children of New Zealand citizens, children or stepchildren of New Zealand citizens, dependent children. It could be of the New Zealand citizen or the partner. So the 461, that's what the 461's there for, but predominantly we see it used for partners of New Zealand citizens. The only thing you don't get is access to Medicare, which a lot of people have a misconception that once they do apply for the 461, they can obtain Medicare, but you do actually need to show that you've got full comprehensive health insurance for this particular visa. Now, the visa is a bit like a partner visa at the moment for permanent residents. It's taking a long time to process. Whether you're offshore or onshore, the processing at the moment is 12 to 18 months. Although we are seeing applications get approved a lot sooner than that. But just be aware it's quite lengthy processing at the moment. It's also a paper-based application. There's not the ability to be able to lodge an online application. And they're lodged here in Australia, or if you're overseas, with a relevant embassy overseas. And just because we're based here in Australia doesn't limit us from being able to assist you, because we assist people from all around Australia and the world, and we can easily get information and documents across to you, because a lot of it can be done still online, but the final application has to be a paper-based application. And then once we have lodged it, all the communication with the embassy overseas, or with the Department of Home Affairs here in Australia, is all email-based. So we can then send things through a secure online means via the internet rather than paper-based. The application is for New Zealand citizens who aren't eligible, or sorry, I should rephrase that, partners of New Zealand citizens who aren't eligible to become a permanent resident. Those New Zealand citizens, whilst you've got access to live here permanently, you're not necessarily regarded as permanent resident. If you arrived prior to the 26th of February 2001, then you could be deemed to be an Australian permanent resident if you lived here prior to that date and continue to live here beyond that date. If you've arrived after that date, after the 26th of February 2001, then you're not automatically a permanent resident. And then those that have arrived after the 19th of February 2017, or is it 2000? No, it's 2016. If you have been in Australia prior to the 19th of February 2016, then you may be eligible to apply for permanent residency if you've been residing here for 5 years and working and paying tax, and have got tax returns for at least 4 out of the 5 years, and earning a minimum salary of $53,900, then you could be eligible to apply for permanent residency through the 189 stream, and that will then in turn allow you to include your partner if you are in a de facto or married relationship. But if neither of those meet your particular circumstance, and the New Zealand citizen is simply a temporary resident and doesn't have access to permanent residency for Australia, then the New Zealand citizen can sponsor their partner who is a non-New Zealand citizen, and perhaps they may be a New Zealand permanent resident but not a citizen, can sponsor them through the 461 process. But be aware, you can't just be boyfriend and girlfriend. It's the same level of commitment for a de facto spouse as it is a married. So you do have to show that you've lived together for at least 12 months as a de facto spousal couple, unless you have registered your relationship, but then again, your actual relationship, even prior to the registration, does need to span a fairly substantial period of time to show that you are in a genuine de facto spousal relationship. So that's the subclass 461. I'm sure there's a lot more questions that you've got and perhaps things I haven't quite answered. So it's not just me here. We've got a team of very qualified and very experienced registered agents that can assist you with your inquiries at the 461. So please don't hesitate in contacting us should you have further inquiries. And our telephone number is 02 9419 5411. Alternatively, you may wish to email us info@migrationdownunder.com. But if you're here in Australia, it's often easier to make that phone call, as we can get back to you a lot sooner.